A big pleasure. Deanna Russo from Leverage Up accepted my invitation, and we were speaking earlier. Now we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, it's really a big pleasure. Deanna Russo from Leverage Up accepted my invitation, and we were speaking earlier about that. We meet once a year, but it's always a big pleasure to have Deanna on this channel discussing with me. And this is really for you, ladies and gentlemen, because we are here to explain and to speak about LinkedIn strategies, in particular the LinkedIn triangle strategy from Deanna. And therefore, every second that I am speaking, I am taking out time from Deanna speaking time. Welcome, Deanna. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here with you.
Really a big pleasure. Thank you very much for that. But as we have only 30 minutes, shorter than a soccer game, then let's start. Deanna, could you please introduce yourself?
Absolutely. So I have been on LinkedIn since 2008, but it wasn't until 2018 where I kicked it into high gear. And that was because I was in a sales opportunity, and that company wanted me to use LinkedIn as the primary way to bring in new clients. And what they thought that meant and what I thought that meant ended up being two different things. So I went from cold call pitching to really getting to know people and building relationships. And then when I left that opportunity about a year or so later, I was approached by people who said, there's just nobody like you on LinkedIn helping other people to do what you're doing. And so Leverage Up began, and it's been great ever since.
I think it's not only great, it was an outstanding journey. What you are doing in LinkedIn brings a lot of value for us as customer, as people, as human being, and therefore really congratulations for what you are doing.
Thank you. One of the questions that you had asked me is, and I've been thinking about it, is the values. What type of values go along with what I do? And honestly, Leverage Up makes sense because one of my values is helping people. And it just makes sense for me to do this because I want to help people. I want to help people grow. And when it comes to selfless and putting other people before myself, the example is the post that I did this morning. It was a job seeker who's looking for someone, looking for an opportunity. And I've known Jerry West now for a while, and that speaks to my content. I always want to help people. I'm always looking for ways that I can use my visibility and my network to then bring help to other people. And the same thing goes with LinkedIn too. If you're thinking about me all the time, then you're basically the equivalent is standing on top of a rooftop shouting by a megaphone. And that's the metaphor I use for those people who are posting content all the time, but not shaking hands with other people in the comments, for example. And that's where the triangle comes in. It is about your profile, but if you have a really good looking profile and then you're not doing the other two things in the triangle, then what's the point of a really good profile? So it goes into visibility. So you need to shake hands in the comments. You need to interact with people, build those relationships, and then put in that content piece as well, showcasing yourself in the original content, not something that is stale. And I'm just not a huge fan with sharing articles type thing because it's not my voice.
I think what you're saying, it totally makes sense. And if people are following you, you already mentioned that the triangle strategy, three main topics. The first one is about profile. The second one is about engagement, and the third one is about content. And I would like to deep dive on these three topics today with the audience, together with you, that we can really get some nuggets, some tangible insights, how to work it and how to leverage LinkedIn. And therefore, Let's start with the first one. What does perfect profile mean?
I think an optimized profile comes down to you showcasing yourself in every single piece of it. For example, the profile picture. If it is a picture of you on top of a mountain, for example, you see a really nice mountain, but you don't get to know you. And so that's why I tell my clients, let's see your face taking up 60 to 75% of that circle that LinkedIn gives us for that profile picture, because it's about interacting. And if a networking event, if you went in with shades and a blindfold of networking event, people can't get to know you. So it's about showcasing your face and looking directly into the camera. And that's a big part of your profile. But then once you can check off bits and pieces, it's about setting yourself apart from everyone else on LinkedIn. Because when it comes down to it, it's up to 830 million people on LinkedIn. And so what sets you apart from everyone else? And that's what you need to think about every single time you work on your profile, is how can I differentiate myself among everybody else who does what I do?
It totally makes sense, and I think it's also similar to what is happening in real life. If I want a genuine connection, I want to network with somebody, then I need to present myself in a proper way, and as I really am, and not how I would like to be, because at the end it quickly comes out. Perhaps on the profile, do you have some thoughts, some ideas, what we can do as normal people, not as expert as you are, with the profile to really stand out?
Yeah, one of the tools that I recommend is a website called Canva when it comes to your LinkedIn banner picture. But that being said, one of the go-tos for a lot of people is maybe to taking a template on Canva and then just putting it up there. I can't tell you the amount of people that I have seen that are using the exact same banner image from Canva. So if you were to take an image or graphic and then customize it for you, maybe 3 to 4 to 5 words that showcase you and what you're all about. And if you're a job seeker, adding that contact information gets it right out there. It has people don't have to go looking if they have an opportunity for you. You're going to tell them how to get in touch with you right there in that banner image. Another thing that I recommend is when you're looking at someone else's profile, one of the first things that I look at is I scroll down to the recommendations, and not enough people are using those recommendations, because that's other people's words speaking on your behalf. It's just like looking up reviews on Amazon. It's like looking up reviews if you go out to a restaurant. You want to hear what that experience is all about. And if there's a recommendation that's sitting there from 2005, that's a long time ago. What does that say about working with you now?
No, I think it totally makes sense. And perhaps to elaborate a bit on that, and taking also you as a good example, I worked on my banner. I shared that with you. I was so proud that I created my personal banner. And then you said, I use my mobile phone to look at it, and I cannot read what you wrote in there. And I said, wow. Yeah. And therefore, I think it's important also to get feedback from the others, from Deanna, but also from the others, to ensure that you can read what it's written there. Because I see also a lot of banners with so small words that I cannot read them on my mobile phone, and therefore I don't know it, and then I skip and I go to the next one.
Right. And honestly, not enough people are looking at that LinkedIn banner from multiple perspectives. It can look really nice on your desktop, but if you can't read it, or you can't see it exactly the way you want to see it on the LinkedIn app, then what's the point? There's so many people that are using that app for LinkedIn, that you need to make sure that it looks just as good on the desktop as it does on the mobile app.
Is a correct statement to say that more people use the LinkedIn app than the web solution?
I honestly believe that that's true. That's honest. I mean, probably 5 or 10 years ago, people were on the desktop more, but now people use the app more than anything else.
Thank you for your feedback. It means I'm old-fashioned, but I accept that. Joke aside, I think the second point that you mentioned, it's also really important. It's recommendation. And I love the example that you are doing with Amazon, because even if we don't know the people that write these reviews, it makes sense because you look at them and therefore it totally makes sense. In the meantime, we have some people following us. I feel, thank you very much for joining. Paul, thank you very much for joining. And yes, I am really happy that you are agreeing with what Deanna is also telling us. If you have any question, feel free to ask them in the messages, and I will provide them to Deanna. Let's go to the second topic, how to increase engagement. That's everything is dreaming of increasing engagement. And perhaps let's start the discussion.
So when it comes to commenting, what you could do is open up your LinkedIn, whether it's on desktop, whether it's on the mobile app, and scroll and comment and scroll and comment. But that's not strategic. That's not a strategy that goes along, and you're wishing and hoping that someone important, someone who you want to start a conversation with, then sees that comment. Instead, what I recommend is going back to who are the people that you want to be seen by, and keep that in mind so that you can, and what I work with when I'm working with my clients, we go into avenues of LinkedIn where you can have those conversations and be seen by the people that you want to be seen by. So that's where if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you say from scroll to strategy. That's one of the things that I write on top there. That's the difference between scroll and I think I should comment, and scroll and this person has all these followers. Yeah, I guess if you want, but that's also if you're commenting on, let's just say Bob's post, and Bob has 50,000 followers. Yes, you're going to be seen, but how many people are seeing that who you want to see you? So, I mean, it's one thing to get visible. It's another to get visible by the people that you want to start those conversations with.
Thank you. I think let's make it really, really, really real. Could you please, because I think this is key, and most of the people are doing this strategic mistake that they are liking the post of Gary Vaynerchuk, but nobody cares. I think what he's saying, it's extremely important, but nobody will see that you are the 1,011th comment, and therefore take care of what Deanna is saying. Could you please say it again?
Yes. Be strategic when you comment. So it is about knowing who you want to start those conversations with. It is about why you're on LinkedIn. What is bringing you to LinkedIn day after day after day? And when you know who you're trying to start those conversations with, you can be more strategic with how you're going about commenting. And I mean, Gary Vee has a humongous following, and yeah, you might get seen by some people, but that's where, and commenting is very important on LinkedIn, Gregorio, because it's not Facebook, it's not Instagram, and it's not Twitter. And what do I mean by that? I mean, there are second and third degree connections. It is a spider web effect. And the second and third degree connections will see you if you are commenting on a particular post. So as opposed to liking, what does a like or what does a reaction say about you as opposed to a comment? So it is about having conversations. We're all at networking events now more than ever, hopefully getting face to face, but it's about having those conversations with people. And what better way you can do that than in the comments? And that's why engagement is such a big part of it.
It totally makes sense. And I think if you want to stand out, and what you mentioned at the beginning, then you need to argue, to explain your opinion, and not being a yes man, because then it means you are saying always, yes, yes, I like you, I like you, I like you, but nobody understands what you are really thinking about. And
Right.
now we are getting also the first questions. Then we give priority also to the question. Christy, I hope that I pronounce your name properly. She's asking, can you filter people on LinkedIn? How can you see posts from certain people rather than scrolling?
Okay, so when you're in your home feed, if you do not want to see that person's reaction or comment, you can go to the three dots and you can improve your feed, and you can unfollow people, you can remove connections. That's how you get people who you don't want to see out. Now, if you want to see more from people, then you can go into bookmarking if you want to do it that way. Bookmark their activity. I know quite a few people that do this, but one of my go-tos is to interact with those people. And once you do organically, LinkedIn is going to show you more of their content. So if you want to see more from me, from Gregorio, then go to our posts and comment. And when you do that, LinkedIn organically, the algorithm is going to say, ooh, this person, she wants to see more. We want to see more from this person. So it's about training LinkedIn to see less of the people that you don't want to see. I can't tell you the amount of times I go into my home feed and I go to taking people out of circulation so that I can see the people who I want to see.
Exactly. And I think only to mention that again, there is also the opportunity in the profile with a small bell to get a notification.
Is improving significantly since it's been rolled out. At the beginning, I wasn't seeing any posts that I've seen from, but now if you go into notifications and you have rung the bell, and that's one of the reasons why I recently changed my banner is to pointing at the bell, because if you want to see more of those people, then ringing the bell, it is helping considerably now that LinkedIn is improving that new feature.
But it's also interesting to see that LinkedIn learns from us. And
Yes.
I was also trying this feature, and I was expecting all these updates from these people, but I didn't saw them. And as you were saying, the only way really to get continuous the right post is to engage with the people, because then it means I like them, but I have also something to say and something to discuss. And if it starts getting a relationship between both of you, who writes and who comments, then you can start build your relationship. And if you want to sell something or if you want to engage with them, then it gets easier. But this is again really, really similar to the real life, isn't it?
It really is. And let me go back to what you said about direct messaging. I would be more inclined to answer a direct message from someone who I saw in my comments, whether it's once or whether it's the 200th time that I have seen that person. I would be more inclined to answer that direct message than I would by someone who I just connected with and then wants to pitch me. So when you get those sales pitches in your inbox, the go-to is to say, no, thanks. Sorry, not interested. I'll connect with you, but I don't want a sales pitch. And if that person still pushes, then you gave them an opportunity. So, I mean, how many second chances do you want to give the people? And the same thing goes for when you want to start that conversation. You can start that conversation in that direct message if you have something other than hi, other than if you really have something to lend to the conversation. I was on your about section and I learned this and this about you, and I really appreciate that. And again, Gregorio, I've talked about that about section. That is a conversation starter. It really is. That is for people who copy and paste and put their summary in from the top of their resume. What is that? How is that going to start the conversation?
Yes. Sorry. Now I need to ask this question.
Yeah.
Do you have 10 minutes tomorrow for a short phone call?
Sure.
That's the standard message that I am getting. And sorry, no, tomorrow I don't have 10 minutes because bring me something that bring me forward, that creates value for me, and then let's start the discussion. But I don't have 10 minutes because with 10, 20 of such emails, it means I spend my whole day speaking with people that want to sell something to me that it's not relevant to me.
That's right. That's absolutely true. Absolutely. And it's just, it goes back to, we're all here to know, like, and trust. It goes into building relationships. And unfortunately, when it comes to knowing, liking, and trusting people, you need to show up. You need to be visible and you need to be consistent on LinkedIn. And I say unfortunately because a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to be on LinkedIn. I'm going to grow to 1 million followers like tomorrow. No, I didn't do what I did with my following overnight. It takes work and it takes consistency. And that third piece of the triangle, Gregorio, is content. And when I started creating content on LinkedIn, I started with videos. And back in 2018, there just weren't as many people doing videos as there are now. So that helped me, that I was able to start in an avenue that wasn't currently being utilized as much, but also consistency. I started a consistent schedule and I kept showing up. And in between that content, I was showing up in people's feeds in the comments. I was having conversations. I enjoy so many people on LinkedIn. I cannot tell you that one of my favorite things is commenting, but I also know that I need to show up in content. So that's why it's 3 pieces: your profile, engagement, and content. And that's what it boils down to, is you got to keep each 3 consistent.
And now that we are speaking about content, it's what's better? It's videos, it's something written, it's the slider. What are you suggesting to people?
I say a good variety of all of the above. And if, for example, you put out a piece of content and it doesn't get the results you want it to, that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean that no one likes you and no one appreciates you. It just means that you need to pull up your bootstraps and come back and do it again. That's all. Because I did videos at the beginning that got hardly any views. But what did I do? I showed up and I did another one. So it's about consistency. Do you think that when Gary Vee started this whole journey on his social media adventure, do you think that he had the following that he has now? It takes time. It really takes time, and it takes commitment and dedication. And that's a couple of other values that I was thinking about when I was thinking about what values best describe me, is dedication, commitment, and persistency. But I don't even think that's a word. Persistent, just like perseverance. You got to keep going.
Yes. And I think, if you allow me, also authenticity, because I really like speaking with you, because that's the reality. What you are doing in your content is how you really are, and it's not something faked.
Yeah, and that's something else too. You can try to be who you think you need to be in your content, but if you're not showing yourself, then just saying the word authentic is one thing. But I took authentic out of my about section years ago, because I'm just going to show people. I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to show people what I'm all about. So, and that, a lot of people tell me that you're the exact same person you are online. And I'm like, well, who else am I supposed to be? That's me.
But that's the reality, and I think that's make it also really interesting. We have the next question from Nama. Hi, Nama. It's Dena, how much time did you averagely spend on LinkedIn when you started out and now?
Ugh. I think it fluctuates. I wouldn't be able to give you, I've never spent 24 hours a day. I've never spent 8 hours a day. I think it really fluctuates according to schedules. And when I started out on LinkedIn, you have to remember, I started out because my company wanted me to use LinkedIn as the primary way to bring in new business. And I had an account for 10 years before that, but I just didn't know enough about it. So I was engaging with people, I was commenting, I was visiting profiles. Now, heads up, if you're visiting too many profiles, LinkedIn is going to, it's like red X. So just be aware of how many, because you don't want to get kicked off the platform. And people who do visit too many profiles, they think it's a robot. They think you're not a real person. But I was just getting to know people. And the difference now, when I work with my clients, when you're working with me, what you're supposed to be doing on LinkedIn each and every time. And that's one of the things that I tell people is I'm not about a time waster. I'm not about a time suck. You have to know why you're there each and every time you log into the platform. And so that's a little bit of the difference of now is I know, for example, I knew I had to post this morning. I knew I had to babysit the post a little bit because it's about answering those comments and getting back to people. Because you don't want to post and just walk away. That's not the way to do it. You have to, when you're posting, you have to ensure that you're there because people want to have conversations. And so whether I'm there to help a job seeker or whether I'm there to post something else, whatever it is, I'm going to keep on that post. And as the people are commenting, then I'm going to engage and reply to comments as well.
And this is also why I love following you, because you are not trying to understand the algorithm and improve everything related to the algorithm, but you are really genuine. You want to talk with people, you want to share something. And let's say I use the wrong word, but you don't care about all this technical stuff. You need to do this, that, and that. But at the end, you need to show up every day or every second day, because it's also for our network. If we want to keep the network, we need consistency. Phil is telling us that it's persistently the right way to say to write that, and it totally makes sense. We are coming to an end of this outstanding game. Thank you very much for your time. But before you leave, I still have 3 questions.
Okay.
The first one, and we have 5 minutes time, therefore okay. Let's try to keep on time. The first one, is there a book suggestion that you say that helped you during your career or during your life? It's not required that to be really related to LinkedIn, because at the end we are human beings and we are not spending all the day in LinkedIn. And therefore, if you have a suggestion for us, it would be great.
Yeah, I don't have a go-to, but I will say that that I am a supporter of other people on LinkedIn, and John Esperian's Content DNA is very helpful. So that is one to look up. So I will go to that LinkedIn route, but I'll also say that reading is far too underrated. And I take out books from the library. And I will, rather than spending money after whatever to sit on a bookshelf, I'll go to the library and I'll get it that way. So I'll just use that as a go to support your local library.
Thank you. I'm asking the question about the contact details. I'm not asking about the LinkedIn contact details because it's easy. You can click on her name and then you will contact her with her. But could you share also your webpage?
Sure, leverageupllc.com, and it is currently undergoing a revamping. So coming this summer, it will have a totally new look. But that is a place to see how I work with my clients and to see testimonials of people who have worked with and to see podcasts just like this one.
Thank you very much. And the real last question is then a golden nugget. It's something that we discussed or something new that you would like to leave to the audience.
Consistency. Stay consistent. It's not the be all and end all, but it is a big part of the equation. So you need to stay consistent. And honestly, Grigori, if I can do it with 3 kids and all of the activities, that is a future post for me. I have such a busy schedule managing house, family, everything, that if I can do it, anybody can do it.
That's true. And I think we conclude with your laughing. Thank you very much for your time. It was really a great pleasure. As a CX goalkeeper, I'm saying thank you, but also from the audience, thank you very much for your time and for your outstanding insights. We conclude this game. Thank you very much. From my point of view, we won 3-0. Thank you, Deanna.
Thank you.
Bye-bye to everybody.